Page 1. Section 2, Driving Safely. This section covers vehicle inspection, basic control of your vehicle, shifting gears, seeing, communicating, space management, controlling your speed, seeing hazards, distracted driving, aggressive drivers and road rage, night driving, driving in fog, winter driving, hot weather driving, railroad highway crossings, mountain driving, driving emergencies, anti-lock braking systems, skid control and recovery, crash procedures, fires, alcohol, other drugs, and driving, staying alert and fit to drive, hazardous materials rules. This section contains knowledge and safe driving information that all commercial drivers should know. You must pass a test on this information to get a CDL. This section does not have specific information on air brakes, combination vehicles, doubles, or passenger vehicles. When preparing for the pre-trip inspection test, you must review the material in Section 11 in addition to the information in this section. This section does have basic information on hazardous materials, hazmat, that all drivers should know. If you need a hazmat endorsement, you should study Section 9. 2.1 Vehicle Inspection. 2.1.1 Why inspect? Safety is the most important reason you inspect your vehicle, safety for yourself and for other road users. A vehicle defect found during an inspection could save you problems later. You could have a breakdown on the road that will cost time and dollars, or even worse, a crash caused by the defect. Federal and state laws require that drivers inspect their vehicles. Federal and state inspectors also may inspect your vehicles. If they judge the vehicle to be unsafe, they will put it out of service until it is fixed. 2.1.2 Types of Vehicle Inspection. Pre-trip inspection. A pre-trip inspection will help you find problems that could cause a crash or breakdown. During a trip, for safety, you should watch gauges for signs of trouble, use your senses to check for problems, look, listen, smell, feel. Check critical items when you stop, tires, wheels and rims, brakes, lights and reflectors, brake and electrical connections to trailer, trailer coupling devices, cargo securement devices. After-trip inspection and report. You should do an after-trip inspection at the end of the trip, day, or tour of duty on each vehicle you operated. It may include filling out a vehicle condition report, listing any problems you find. The inspection report helps a motor carrier know when the vehicle needs repairs. 2.1.3 What to look for. Tire problems. Too much or too little air pressure. Bad wear. You need at least 4 30-seconds inch tread depth in every major groove on front tires. You need 2 30-seconds inch on other tires. No fabric should show through the tread or sidewall. Cuts or other damage. Tread separation. Dual tires that come in contact with each other or parts of the vehicle. Mismatched sizes. Radial and bias ply tires used together. Cut or cracked valve stems. Regrooved, recapped, or retreaded tires on the front wheels of a bus. These are prohibited. Page 2. Wheel and rim problems. Damaged rims. Rust around wheel nuts may mean the nuts are loose. Check tightness. After a tire has been changed, stop a short while later and recheck tightness of nuts. Missing clamps, spacers, studs, or lugs means danger. Mismatched, bent, or cracked lock rings are dangerous. Wheels or rims that have had welding repairs are not safe. Bad brake drums or shoes. Cracked drums. Shoes or pads with oil, grease, or brake fluid on them. Shoes worn dangerously thin, missing, or broken. Steering system defects. missing nuts, bolts, cotter keys, or other parts. Bent, loose, or broken parts such as steering column, steering gear box, or tie rods. If power steering equipped, check hoses, pumps, and fluid level. Check for leaks. Steering wheel play of more than 10 degrees, approximately 2 inches movement at the rim of a 20-inch steering wheel, can make it hard to steer. Figure 2.1 illustrates a typical steering system. Diagram on page 2, Figure 2.1, Steering System. Highlighted items, reading clockwise from the left, tie rod, steering wheel, steering shaft, power steering cylinder, steering arm, spindle, steering knuckle, drag link, pitman arm, gearbox, hydraulic fluid reservoir. Continuing with the text. Suspension system defects. The suspension system holds up the vehicle and its load. It keeps the axles in place. Therefore, broken suspension parts can be extremely dangerous. Look for spring hangers that allow movement of axle from proper position. See Figure 2.2. Cracked or broken spring hangers. Missing or broken leaves in any leaf spring. If 1/4 or more are missing, it will put the vehicle out of service, but any defect could be dangerous. See Figure 2.3. Figure 2.3 appears on page 3. Continuing with the text. Broken leaves in a multi-leaf spring or leaves that have shifted so they might hit a tire or other part. Leaking shock absorbers. Torque rod or arm, U-bolts, spring hangers, or other axle positioning parts that are cracked, damaged, or missing. Air suspension systems that are damaged and or leaking. See Figure 2.4. Figure 2.4 appears on page 3, continuing with the text. Loose, cracked, or missing frame members. Diagram on page 2, Figure 2.2, key suspension parts. Highlighted items reading clockwise from the top. Hydraulic shock absorber, vehicle frame, front axle hanger, leaf spring. Second item, reading clockwise from the top, frame, bearing plates, front axle hanger, auxiliary spring, spring shackle, mainspring, axle, torque rod. Continuing with the text. Page 3. Diagram on page 3, Figure 2.3, Safety defect, broken leaf in spring. Highlighted items, reading clockwise from the top, broken leaf, mainspring, axle. Diagram on page 3, Figure 2.4, Air suspension parts. Highlighted items, reading clockwise from the left, frame reinforcement, height control valve, upper bellows support, shock absorber, spacer, bellows, lower bellows support, axle seat, axle, U-bolts, anchor plate, clamp bolt, control arm, eye bolt, bracket. Continuing with the text. Exhaust system defects. A broken exhaust system can let poison fumes into the cab or sleeper berth. Look for loose, broken, or missing exhaust pipes, mufflers, tailpipes, or vertical stacks. Loose, broken, or missing mounting brackets, clamps, bolts, or nuts. Exhaust system parts rubbing against fuel system parts, tires, or other moving parts of vehicle. Exhaust system parts that are leaking. Emergency equipment. Vehicles must be equipped with emergency equipment. Look for fire extinguisher or extinguishers, spare electrical fuses, unless equipped with circuit breakers, warning devices for parked vehicles, for example, 3 reflective warning triangles. Cargo trucks. You must make sure the truck is not overloaded and the cargo is balanced and secured before each trip. If the cargo contains hazardous materials, you must inspect for proper papers and placarding. 2.1.4 CDL Pre-Trip Vehicle Inspection Test. In order to obtain a CDL, you will be required to pass a pre-trip vehicle inspection test. You will be tested to see if you know whether your vehicle is safe to drive. You will be asked to do a pre-trip inspection of your vehicle and explain to the examiner what you would inspect and why. The following 7-step inspection method should be useful. 2.1.5 7-step inspection method. Method of inspection. You should do a pre-trip inspection the same way each time so you will learn all the steps and be less likely to forget something. However, sequencing may vary on test day. Approaching the vehicle. Notice general condition. Look for damage or vehicle leaning to one side. Look under the vehicle for fresh oil, coolant, grease, or fuel leaks. Check the area around the vehicle for hazards to vehicle movement, people, other vehicles, objects, low-hanging wires, limbs, etc. Vehicle Inspection Guide. Step 1. Vehicle Overview. Review last vehicle inspection report. Drivers may have to make a vehicle inspection report in writing each day. The motor carrier must repair any items in the report that affect safety and certify on the report that repairs were made or were unnecessary. You must sign the report only if defects were noted and certified to be repaired or not needed to be repaired. Step 2. Check engine compartment. Check that the parking brakes are on and/or wheels chocked. You may have to raise the hood, tilt the cab, secure loose things so they don't fall and break something, or open the engine compartment door. Check the following: engine oil level, coolant level and radiator, condition of hoses, power steering fluid level, hose condition, if so equipped, windshield washer fluid level, battery fluid level, connections and tie-downs, battery may be located elsewhere, automatic transmission fluid level, may require engine to be running. Page 4. Check belts for tightness and excessive wear, alternator, water pump, air compressor. Learn how much give the belts should have when adjusted right and check each one. Leaks in the engine compartment, fuel, coolant, oil, power steering fluid, hydraulic fluid, battery fluid. Cracked, worn electrical wiring insulation. Lower and secure hood, cab, or engine compartment door. Step 3. Start engine and inspect inside the cab. Get in and start engine. Make sure parking brake is on. Put gear shift in neutral, or park if automatic. Start engine. Listen for unusual noises. If equipped, check the anti-lock braking system, ABS, indicator lights. Light on dash should come on and then turn off. If it stays on, the ABS is not working properly. For trailers only, if the yellow light on the left rear of the trailer stays on, the ABS is not working properly. Look at the gauges. Oil pressure should come up to normal within seconds after engine is started. See Figure 2.5. Illustration on page 4, Figure 2.5, oil pressure. Idling, 5 through 20 psi. Operating, 35 through 75 psi. Low, dropping, fluctuating, stop immediately. Without oil, the engine can be destroyed rapidly. Continuing with the text. Air pressure. Pressure should build from 50 to 90 psi within 3 minutes. Build air pressure to governor cutout, usually around 120 to 140 psi. Know your vehicle's requirements. Ammeter and/or voltmeter should be in normal range or ranges. Coolant temperature should begin gradual rise to normal operating range. Engine oil temperature should begin gradual rise to normal operating range. Warning lights and buzzers. Oil, coolant, charging circuit warning, and anti-lock brake system lights should go out right away. Check condition of controls. Check all of the following for looseness, sticking, damage, or improper setting: steering wheel, clutch, accelerator, gas pedal, brake controls, foot brake, trailer brake if vehicle has one, parking brake, retarder controls if vehicle has them, transmission controls, interaxle differential lock if vehicle has one, horn or horns, windshield wiper and washer, lights, headlights, dimmer switch, turn signal, four-way flashers, parking, clearance, identification, marker switch or switches. Check mirrors and windshield. Inspect mirrors and windshield for cracks, dirt, illegal stickers, or other obstructions to seeing clearly. Clean and adjust as necessary. Check emergency equipment. Check for safety equipment. Spare electrical fuses, unless vehicle has circuit breakers. 3 red reflective triangles. Properly charged and rated fire extinguisher. Check for optional items such as chains, where winter conditions require, tire changing equipment, list of emergency phone numbers, accident reporting kit, packet. Page 5. Check seat belt. Check that the seat belt is securely mounted, adjusts, latches properly, and is not ripped or frayed. Step 4. Turn off engine and check lights. Make sure the parking brake is set, turn off the engine, and take the key with you. Turn on headlights, low beams, and four-way emergency flashers and get out of the vehicle. Step 5. Do walk-around inspection. Go to front of vehicle and check that low beams are on and both of the four-way flashers are working. Push dimmer switch and check that high beams work. Turn off headlights and four-way emergency flashers. Turn on parking, clearance, side marker, and identification lights. Turn on right turn signal and start walk-around inspection. General, walk around and inspect. Clean all lights, reflectors, and glass as you go along. Left front side, driver's door glass should be clean. Door latches or locks should work properly. Left front wheel, condition of wheel and rim, missing, bent, broken studs, clamps, lugs, or any signs of misalignment. Conditions of tires, properly inflated, valve stem and cap okay, no serious cuts, bulges, or tread wear. Use wrench to test rust streak lug nuts indicating looseness. Hub oil level okay, no leaks. Left front suspension. Condition of spring, spring hangers, shackles, U-bolts. Shock absorber condition. Left front brake. Condition of brake drum or disc. Condition of hoses. Front. Condition of front axle. Condition of steering system. No loose, worn, bent, damaged, or missing parts. Must grab steering mechanism to test for looseness. Condition of windshield. Check for damage and clean if dirty. Check windshield wiper arms for proper spring tension. Check wiper blades for damage, stiff rubber, and securement. Lights and reflectors. Parking, clearance, and identification lights clean, operating, and proper color, amber at front. Reflectors clean and proper color, amber at front. Right front turn signal light clean, operating, and proper color, amber or white on signals facing forward. Right side. Right front, check all items as done on left front. Primary and secondary safety cab locks engaged if cab over engine design. Right fuel tank or tanks, securely mounted, not damaged or leaking. Fuel crossover line secure. Tank or tanks contain enough fuel. Cap or caps on and secure. Condition of visible parts. Rear of engine, not leaking. Transmission, not leaking. Exhaust system, secure, not leaking, not touching wires, fuel, or air lines. Frame and cross members, no bends or cracks. Air lines and electrical wiring, secured against snagging, rubbing, wearing. Spare tire carrier or rack not damaged, if so equipped. Spare tire and or wheel securely mounted in rack. Spare tire and wheel adequate, proper size, properly inflated. Cargo securement, trucks. Cargo properly blocked, braced, tied, chained, etc. Header board adequate, secure, if required. Sideboards, stakes strong enough, free of damage, properly set in place, if so equipped. Page 6. Canvas or tarp, if required, properly secured to prevent tearing, billowing, or blocking of mirrors. If oversize, all required signs, flags, lamps, and reflectors, safely and properly mounted and all required permits in driver's possession. Curbside cargo compartment doors in good condition, securely closed, latched or locked, and required security seals in place. Right rear. Condition of wheels and rims. No missing, bent, or broken spacers, studs, clamps, or lugs. Condition of tires. Properly inflated, valve stems and caps okay, no serious cuts, bulges, tread wear, tires not rubbing each other, and nothing stuck between them. Tires same type, e.g. not mixed radial and bias types. Tires evenly matched, same sizes. Wheel bearing and seals not leaking. Suspension. Condition of spring or springs, spring hangers, shackles, and U-bolts. Axle secure. Powered axle or axles not leaking lube, gear oil. Condition of torque rod arms, bushings. Condition of shock absorber or absorbers. If retractable axle equipped, check condition of lift mechanism. If air-powered, check for leaks. Condition of air ride components. Brakes. Brake adjustment. Condition of brake drum or drums or discs. Condition of hoses. Look for any wear due to rubbing. Lights and reflectors. Side marker lights clean, operating, and proper color, red at rear, others amber. Side marker reflectors clean and proper color, red at rear, others amber. Rear. Lights and reflectors. Rear clearance and identification lights clean, operating, and proper color, red at rear. Reflectors clean and proper color, red at rear. Tail lights clean, operating, and proper color, red at rear. Right rear turn signal operating and proper color, red, yellow, or amber at rear. License plate or plates present, clean, and secured. Splash guards present, not damaged, properly fastened, not dragging on ground or rubbing tires. Cargo secure, trucks. Cargo properly blocked, braced, tied, chained, etc. Tailboards up and properly secured. End gates free of damage, properly secured in stake sockets. Canvas or tarp, if required, properly secured to prevent tearing, billowing, or blocking of either the rear view mirrors or rear lights. If over length or over width, make sure all signs and or additional lights and flags are safely and properly mounted, and all required permits are in driver's possession. Rear doors securely closed, latched or locked. Left side. Check all items as done on right side, plus battery or batteries, if not mounted in engine compartment. Battery box or boxes securely mounted to vehicle. Box has secure cover. Battery or batteries secured against movement. Battery or batteries not broken or leaking. Fluid in battery or batteries at proper level, except maintenance-free type. Cell caps present and securely tightened, except maintenance-free type. Vents in cell caps free of foreign material, except maintenance-free type. Step 6. Check signal lights. Get in and turn off lights. Turn off all lights. Turn on stop lights. Apply trailer handbrake or have a helper push on the brake pedal. Turn on left turn signal lights. Get out and check lights. Left front turn signal light clean, operating, and proper color, amber or white on signals facing the front. Left rear turn signal light and both stop lights clean, operating, and proper color, red, yellow, or amber. Page 7. Get in vehicle. Turn off lights not needed for driving. Check for all required papers, trip manifests, permits, etc. Secure all loose articles in cab. They might interfere with operation of the controls or hit you in a crash. Start the engine. Step 7. Start the engine and check. Test for hydraulic leaks. If the vehicle has hydraulic brakes, pump the brake pedal 3 times. Then apply firm pressure to the pedal and hold for 5 seconds. The pedal should not move. If it does, there may be a leak or other problem. Get it fixed before driving. If the vehicle has air brakes, do the checks described in sections 5 and 6 of this manual. Brake system. Test parking brake or brakes. Fasten seat belt. Set parking brake, power unit only. Release trailer parking brake, if applicable. Place vehicle into a low gear. Gently pull forward against parking brake to make sure the parking brake holds. Repeat the same steps for the trailer with trailer parking brake set and power unit parking brakes released, if applicable. If it doesn't hold vehicle, it is faulty. Get it fixed. Test service brake stopping action. Go about 5 miles per hour. Push brake pedal firmly. Pulling to one side or the other can mean brake trouble. Any unusual brake pedal feel or delayed stopping action can mean trouble. If you find anything unsafe during the pre-trip inspection, get it fixed. Federal and state laws forbid operating an unsafe vehicle. 2.1.6 Inspection during a trip. Check vehicle operation regularly. You should check instruments, air pressure gauge if you have air brakes, temperature gauges, pressure gauges, ammeter or voltmeter, mirrors, tires, cargo covers, lights. If you see, hear, smell, or feel anything that might mean trouble, check it out. Safety inspection. Drivers of trucks and truck tractors, when transporting cargo, must inspect the securement of the cargo within the first 50 miles of a trip and every 150 miles, or every 3 hours, whichever comes first, after. 2.1.7 After-trip inspection and report. You may have to make a written report each day on the condition of the vehicle or vehicles you drove. Report anything affecting safety or possibly leading to mechanical breakdown. Subsection 2.1 Test your knowledge. The vehicle inspection report tells the motor carrier about problems that may need fixing. Keep a copy of your report in the vehicle for 1 day. That way, the next driver can learn about any problems you have found. 1. What is the most important reason for doing a vehicle inspection? 2. What things should you check during a trip? 3. Name some key steering system parts. 4. Name some suspension system defects. 5. What 3 kinds of emergency equipment must you have? 6. What is the minimum tread depth for front tires? For other tires? 7. Name some things you should check on the front of your vehicle during the walk-around inspection. 8. What should wheel bearing seals be checked for? 9. How many red reflective triangles should you carry? 10. How do you test hydraulic brakes for leaks? 11. Why put the starter switch key in your pocket during the pre-trip inspection? These questions may be on your test. If you can't answer them all, reread subsection 2.1. Page 8. 2.2 Basic control of your vehicle. To drive a vehicle safely, you must be able to control its speed and direction. Safe operation of a commercial vehicle requires skill in accelerating, steering, stopping, backing safely. Fasten your seatbelt when on the road. Apply the parking brake when you leave your vehicle. 2.2.1 Accelerating. Don't roll back when you start. You may hit someone behind you. If you have a manual transmission vehicle, partly engage the clutch before you take your right foot off the brake. Put on the parking brake whenever necessary to keep from rolling back. Release the parking brake only when you have applied enough engine power to keep from rolling back. On a tractor-trailer equipped with a trailer brake hand valve, the hand valve can be applied to keep from rolling back. Speed up smoothly and gradually so the vehicle does not jerk. Rough acceleration can cause mechanical damage. When pulling a trailer, rough acceleration can damage the coupling. Speed up very gradually when traction is poor, as in rain or snow. If you use too much power, the drive wheels may spin. You could lose control. If the drive wheels begin to spin, take your foot off the accelerator. 2.2.2 Steering. Hold the steering wheel firmly with both hands. Your hands should be on opposite sides of the wheel. If you hit a curb or a pothole, chuck hole, the wheel could pull away from your hands unless you have a firm hold. 2.2.3 Stopping. Push the brake pedal down gradually. The amount of brake pressure you need to stop the vehicle will depend on the speed of the vehicle and how quickly you need to stop. Control the pressure so the vehicle comes to a smooth, safe stop. If you have a manual transmission, push the clutch in when the engine is close to idle. 2.2.4 Backing safely. Because you cannot see everything behind your vehicle, backing is always dangerous. Avoid backing whenever you can. When you park, try to park so you will be able to pull forward when you leave. When you have to back, here are a few simple safety rules. Start in the proper position. Look at your path. Use mirrors on both sides. Back slowly. Back and turn toward the driver's side whenever possible. Use a helper whenever possible. These rules are discussed in turn below. Start in the proper position. Put the vehicle in the best position to allow you to back safely. This position will depend on the type of backing to be done. Look at your path. Look at your line of travel before you begin. Get out and walk around the vehicle. Check your clearance to the sides and overhead, in and near the path your vehicle will take. Use mirrors on both sides. Check the outside mirrors on both sides frequently. Get out of the vehicle and check your path if you are unsure. Back slowly. Always back as slowly as possible. Use the lowest reverse gear. That way you can more easily correct any steering errors. You also can stop quickly if necessary. Back and turn toward the driver's side. Back to the driver's side so you can see better. Backing toward the right side is very dangerous because you can't see as well. If you back and turn toward the driver's side, you can watch the rear of your vehicle by looking out the side window. Use driver's side backing, even if it means going around the block to put your vehicle in this position. The added safety is worth it. Use a helper. Use a helper when you can. There are blind spots you can't see. That's why a helper is important. The helper should stand near the back of your vehicle where you can see the helper. Before you begin backing, work out a set of hand signals that you both understand. Agree on a signal for stop. 2.3 Shifting gears. Correct shifting of gears is important. If you can't get your vehicle into the right gear while driving, you will have less control. 2.3.1 Manual transmissions. Basic method for shifting up. Most heavy vehicles with manual transmissions require double clutching to change gears. This is the basic method. Release accelerator, push in clutch and shift to neutral at the same time. Release clutch. Let engine and gears slow down to the RPM required for the next gear. This takes practice. Page 9. Push in clutch and shift to the higher gear at the same time. Release clutch and press accelerator at the same time. Shifting gears using double clutching requires practice. If you remain too long in neutral, you may have difficulty putting the vehicle into the next gear. If so, don't try to force it. Return to neutral, release clutch, increase engine speed to match road speed, and try again. Knowing when to shift up. There are two ways of knowing when to shift. Use engine speed, RPM. Study the driver's manual for your vehicle and learn the operating RPM range. Watch your tachometer and shift up when your engine reaches the top of the range. Some newer vehicles use progressive shifting. The RPM at which you shift becomes higher as you move up in the gears. Find out what's right for the vehicle you will operate. Use road speed, MPH. Learn what speeds each gear is good for. Then, by using the speedometer, you'll know when to shift up. With either method, you may learn to use engine sounds to know when to shift. Basic procedures for shifting down. Release accelerator, push in clutch, and shift to neutral at the same time. Release clutch. Press accelerator, increase engine and gear speed to the RPM required in the lower gear. Push in clutch and shift to lower gear at the same time. Release clutch and press accelerator at the same time. Downshifting, like upshifting, requires knowing when to shift. Use either the tachometer or the speedometer and downshift at the right RPM or road speed. Special conditions where you should downshift are before starting down a hill. Slow down and shift down to a speed that you can control without using the brakes hard. Otherwise, the brakes can overheat and lose their braking power. Downshift before starting down the hill. Make sure you are in a low enough gear, usually lower than the gear required to climb the same hill. Before entering a curve. Slow down to a safe speed and downshift to the right gear before entering the curve. This lets you use some power through the curve to help the vehicle be more stable while turning. It also allows you to speed up as soon as you are out of the curve. 2.3.2 Multi-speed rear axles and auxiliary transmissions. Multi-speed rear axles and auxiliary transmissions are used on many vehicles to provide extra gears. You usually control them by a selector knob or switch on the gear shift lever of the main transmission. There are many different shift patterns. Learn the right way to shift gears in the vehicle you will drive. 2.3.3 Automatic transmissions. Some vehicles have automatic transmissions. You can select a low range to get greater engine braking when going down grades. The lower ranges prevent the transmission from shifting up beyond the selected gear, unless the governor RPM is exceeded. It is very important to use this braking effect when going down grades. 2.3.4 Retarders. Some vehicles have retarders. Retarders help slow a vehicle, replacing the need for using your brakes. They reduce brake wear and give you another way to slow down. There are 4 basic types of retarders: exhaust, engine, hydraulic, and electric. All retarders can be turned on or off by the driver. On some vehicles, the retarding power can be adjusted. When turned on, retarders apply their braking power, to the drive wheels only, whenever you let up on the accelerator pedal all the way. Because these devices can be noisy, be sure you know where their use is permitted. Caution: when your drive wheels have poor traction, the retarder may cause them to skid. Therefore, you should turn the retarder off whenever the road is wet, icy, or snow-covered. Subsections 2.2 and 2.3 test your knowledge. 1. Why should you back toward the driver's side? 2. If stopped on a hill, how can you start moving without rolling back? 3. When backing, why is it important to use a helper? 4. What's the most important hand signal that you and the helper should agree on? 5. What are the 2 special conditions where you should downshift? 6. When should you downshift automatic transmissions? 7. Retarders keep you from skidding when the road is slippery. True or false? Page 10. 8. What are the 2 ways to know when to shift? These questions may be on the test. If you can't answer them all, reread subsections 2.2 and 2.3. 2.4. Seeing. To be a safe driver, you need to know what's going on all around your vehicle. Not looking properly is a major cause of crashes. 2.4.1. Seeing ahead. All drivers look ahead, but many don't look far enough ahead. Importance of looking far enough ahead. Because stopping or changing lanes can take a lot of distance, knowing what the traffic is doing on all sides of you is very important. You need to look well ahead to make sure you have room to make these moves safely. How far ahead to look? Most good drivers look at least 12 to 15 seconds ahead. That means looking ahead the distance you will travel in 12 to 15 seconds. At lower speeds, that's about 1 block. At highway speeds, it's about 1/4 of a mile. If you're not looking that far ahead, you may have to stop too quickly or make quick lane changes. Looking 12 to 15 seconds ahead doesn't mean not paying attention to things that are closer. Good drivers shift their attention back and forth, near and far. Figure 2.6 illustrates how far to look ahead. Diagram on page 10, figure 2.6. City driving, 12 to 15 seconds is about 1 block. Open highway, 12 to 15 seconds is about 1/4 mile. Continuing with the text. Look for traffic. Look for vehicles coming onto the highway, into your lane, or turning. Watch for brake lights from slowing vehicles. By seeing these things far enough ahead, you can change your speed or change lanes if necessary to avoid a problem. If a traffic light has been green for a long time, it will probably change before you get there. Start slowing down and be ready to stop. 2.4.2. Seeing to the sides and rear. It's important to know what's going on behind and to the sides. Check your mirrors regularly. Check more often in special situations. Mirror adjustment. Mirror adjustment should be checked prior to the start of any trip and can only be checked accurately when the trailer or trailers are straight. You should check and adjust each mirror to show some part of the vehicle. This will give you a reference point for judging the position of the other images. Regular checks. You need to make regular checks of your mirrors to be aware of traffic and to check your vehicle. Traffic. Check your mirrors for vehicles on either side and in back of you. In an emergency, you may need to know whether you can make a quick lane change. Use your mirrors to spot overtaking vehicles. There are blind spots that your mirrors cannot show you. Check your mirrors regularly to know where other vehicles are around you and to see if they move into your blind spots. Check your vehicle. Use the mirrors to keep an eye on your tires. It's one way to spot a tire fire. If you're carrying open cargo, you can use the mirrors to check it. Look for loose straps, ropes, or chains. Watch for a flapping or ballooning tarp. Special situations. Special situations require more than regular mirror checks. These are lane changes, turns, merges, and tight maneuvers. Lane changes. You need to check your mirrors to make sure no one is alongside you or about to pass you. Check your mirrors before you change lanes to make sure there is enough room. After you have signaled, to check that no one has moved into your blind spot. Right after you start the lane change, to double-check that your path is clear. After you complete the lane change. Turns. In turns, check your mirrors to make sure the rear of your vehicle will not hit anything. Merges. When merging, use your mirrors to make sure the gap in traffic is large enough for you to enter safely. Tight maneuvers. Anytime you are driving in close quarters, check your mirrors often. Make sure you have enough clearance. How to use mirrors. Use mirrors correctly by checking them quickly and understanding what you see. When you use your mirrors while driving on the road, check quickly. Look back and forth between the mirrors and the road ahead. Page 11. Don't focus on the mirrors for too long. Otherwise, you will travel quite a distance without knowing what's happening ahead. Many large vehicles have curved, convex, fisheye, spot, bug eye mirrors that show a wider area than flat mirrors. This is often helpful, but everything appears smaller in a convex mirror than it would if you were looking at it directly. Things also seem farther away than they really are. It's important to realize this and to allow for it. Figure 2.7 shows the field of vision using a convex mirror. Illustration on page 11, figure 2.7, field of vision using a convex mirror. Labels include driver, convex mirror view, plane mirror view, blind spot area, plane mirror view, convex mirror view. Continuing with the text. 2.5, communicating. 2.5.1, signal your intentions. Other drivers can't know what you are going to do until you tell them. Signaling what you intend to do is important for safety. Here are some general rules for signaling. Turns. There are 3 good rules for using turn signals. Signal early. Signal well before you turn. It is the best way to keep others from trying to pass you. Signal continuously. You need both hands on the wheel to turn safely. Don't cancel the signal until you have completed the turn. Cancel your signal. Don't forget to turn off your turn signal after you've turned if you don't have self-canceling signals. Lane changes. Put your turn signal on before changing lanes. Change lanes slowly and smoothly. That way a driver you didn't see may have a chance to honk his or her horn or avoid your vehicle. Slowing down. Warn drivers behind you when you see you'll need to slow down. A few light taps on the brake pedal, enough to flash the brake lights, should warn following drivers. Use the 4-way emergency flashers for times when you are driving very slowly or are stopped. Warn other drivers in any of the following situations. Trouble ahead. The size of your vehicle may make it hard for drivers behind you to see hazards ahead. If you see a hazard that will require slowing down, warn the drivers behind by flashing your brake lights. Tight turns. Most car drivers don't know how slowly you have to go to make a tight turn in a large vehicle. Give drivers behind you warning by braking early and slowing gradually. Stopping on the road. Truck and bus drivers sometimes stop in the roadway to unload cargo or passengers or to stop at a railroad crossing. Warn following drivers by flashing your brake lights. Don't stop suddenly. Driving slowly. Drivers often do not realize how fast they are catching up to a slow vehicle until they are very close. If you must drive slowly, alert following drivers by turning on your emergency flashers if it is legal. Laws regarding the use of flashers differ from one state to another. Check the laws of the states where you will drive. Don't direct traffic. Some drivers try to help out others by signaling when it is safe to pass. You should not do this. You could cause a crash. You could be blamed, and it could cost you thousands of dollars. 2.5.2 Communicating your presence. Other drivers may not notice your vehicle even when it's in plain sight. To help prevent crashes, let them know you're there. When passing. Whenever you are about to pass a vehicle, pedestrian, or bicyclist, assume they don't see you. They could suddenly move in front of you. When it is legal, tap the horn lightly or, at night, flash your lights from low to high beam and back. And drive carefully enough to avoid a crash even if they don't see or hear you. When it's hard to see. At dawn, dusk, in rain or snow, you need to make yourself easier to see. If you are having trouble seeing other vehicles, other drivers will have trouble seeing you. Turn on your lights. Use the headlights, not just the identification or clearance lights. Use the low beams. High beams can bother people in the daytime as well as at night. Page 12. When parked at the side of the road. When you pull off the road and stop, be sure to turn on the 4-way emergency flashers. This is important at night. Don't trust the tail lights to give warning. Drivers have crashed into the rear of a parked vehicle because they thought it was moving normally. If you must stop on a road or the shoulder of any road, you must put out your emergency warning devices within 10 minutes. Place your warning devices at the following locations. If you must stop on or by a one-way or divided highway, place warning devices 10 feet, 100 feet, and 200 feet toward the approaching traffic. See Figure 2.8. Illustration on page 12, Figure 2.8. One-way or divided highway, 10 feet, 100 feet, 200 feet. Continuing with the text. If you stop on a two-lane road carrying traffic in both directions or on an undivided highway, place warning devices within 10 feet of the front or rear corners to mark the location of the vehicle, and 100 feet behind and ahead of the vehicle on the shoulder or in the lane you stopped in. See Figure 2.9. Illustration on page 12, Figure 2.9, two-way or undivided highway, 100 feet, 10 feet, 100 feet. Continuing with the text. Back beyond any hill, curve, or obstruction that prevents other drivers from seeing the vehicle within 500 feet. If line-of-sight view is obstructed due to hill or curve, move the rearmost triangle to a point back down the road so warning is provided. See Figure 2.10. Illustration on page 12, Figure 2.10, obstructed view, 100 feet to 500 feet, 10 feet, 100 feet to 500 feet. Continuing with the text. Page 13. When putting out the triangles, hold them between yourself and the oncoming traffic for your own safety, so other drivers can see you. Use your horn when needed. Your horn can let others know you're there. It can help to avoid a crash. Use your horn when needed. However, it can startle others and could be dangerous when used unnecessarily. 2.6. Controlling speed. Driving too fast is a major cause of fatal crashes. You must adjust your speed depending on driving conditions. These include traction, curves, visibility, traffic, and hills. 2.6.1. Stopping distance. Perception distance plus reaction distance plus braking distance equals total stopping distance. Perception distance. The distance your vehicle travels, in ideal conditions, from the time your eyes see a hazard until your brain recognizes it. Keep in mind certain mental and physical conditions can affect your perception distance. It can be affected greatly depending on visibility and the hazard itself. The average perception time for an alert driver is 1 3/4 seconds. At 55 mph, this accounts for 142 feet traveled. Reaction distance. The distance you will continue to travel, in ideal conditions, before you physically hit the brakes in response to a hazard seen ahead. The average driver has a reaction time of 3/4 second to 1 second. At 55 mph, this accounts for 61 feet traveled. Braking distance. The distance your vehicle will travel, in ideal conditions, while you are braking. At 55 mph on dry pavement with good brakes, it can take about 216 feet. Total stopping distance. The total minimum distance your vehicle has traveled, in ideal conditions, with everything considered, including perception distance, reaction distance, and braking distance, until you can bring your vehicle to a complete stop. At 55 mph, your vehicle will travel a minimum of 419 feet. The effect of speed on stopping distance. The faster you drive, the greater the impact or striking power of your vehicle. When you double your speed from 20 to 40 mph, the impact is 4 times greater. The braking distance is also 4 times longer. Triple the speed from 20 to 60 mph, and the impact and braking distance is 9 times greater. At 60 mph, your stopping distance is greater than the length of a football field. Increase the speed to 80 mph and the impact and braking distance are 16 times greater than at 20 mph. High speeds greatly increase the severity of crashes and stopping distances. By slowing down, you can reduce braking distance. Illustration on page 13, figure 2.11, stopping distances. At 15 miles per hour, total stopping distance 72 feet, perception distance 39 feet, reaction distance 16 feet, braking distance 17 feet. At 25 mph, 140 feet total distance, perception distance 65 feet, reaction distance 28 feet, braking distance 47 feet. At 35 miles per hour, 222 feet total stopping distance, perception distance 91 feet, reaction distance 39 feet, braking distance 92 feet. At 45 mph, total stopping distance 319 feet, perception distance 117 feet, reaction distance 50 feet, braking distance 152 feet. At 55 mph, total stopping distance 419 feet, perception distance 142 feet, reaction distance 61 feet, braking distance 216 feet. Continuing with the text. The effect of vehicle weight on stopping distance. The heavier the vehicle, the more work the brakes must do to stop it, and the more heat they absorb. But the brakes, tires, springs, and shock absorbers on heavy-duty vehicles are designed to work best when the vehicle is fully loaded. Empty trucks require greater stopping distances because an empty vehicle has less traction. 2.6.2 Matching speed to the road surface. You can't steer or brake a vehicle unless you have traction. Traction is friction between the tires and the road. There are some road conditions that reduce traction and call for lower speeds. Slippery surfaces. It will take longer to stop, and it will be harder to turn without skidding when the road is slippery. Wet roads can double stopping distance. You must drive slower to be able to stop in the same distance as on a dry road. Reduce speed by about 1/3, e.g., slow from 55 to about 35 mph on a wet road. On packed snow, reduce speed by 1/2 or more. If the surface is icy, reduce speed to a crawl and stop driving as soon as you can safely do so. Identifying slippery surfaces. Sometimes it's hard to know if the road is slippery. Here are some signs of slippery roads. Shaded areas. Shady parts of the road will remain icy and slippery long after open areas have melted.